Oh shit! And I'm cooking beans, avocado, rice, hard boiled. Like I'll throw hard boiled eggs, rice, avocado, garlic. I just hard boiled a bunch of eggs and anyways, so I'm just out here doing my dinner. I'm gonna be sleeping at this rest area, and hopefully I'm gonna be here for 3 days. I don't care what happens. The only thing I worry about is at nighttime when you're a van lifer, you have to worry about law enforcement and crazy people. And law enforcement, I worry about because they'll walk up to the van at like 2 in the morning, knock on the window, right? Scare the shit out of you. Me, I want to jump in and take off. Also, if a crazy person wants to approach you, they're going to do the same thing the police do. So you don't know what's what. So I'm a little nervous about where I'm at, but I feel safer than being way out here in the mountains. So anyways, that's all I got. I'll show you my little... So my night routine, I come out here and I hook up a motion camera. This is a hunting camera. And when I used to have a house up in the mountains, I had these all over my property. And I like to put it on my van. You could put it like inside your window or even on your dashboard, and it'll still work. When it's cold like this, the windows fog up. So it's good to put it outside. And you'll be surprised the kind of stuff you pick up on it. And this is kind of like a little security thing that I do. And then in the morning, I check everything out and I just make sure that somebody wasn't creeping around my van. I'm telling you, I've captured ghosts and orbs on this thing. So whatever a ghost and orb is, I know I've said this before, it will make this infrared detection camera go off. And so I have it pointed out over here towards the parking area. So these are kind of cool to have. They're $100, and you could put these. Like I used to also put these inside of my window at an apartment above my sink. And so it would take pictures of people coming and going, and nobody even noticed it, even because like it'll go off and this will turn red. People don't even notice it, and then you'll be able to see like what's going on while you're sleeping. What's up, you guys? So this is my nightly routine. Pretty much everywhere. Right now outside is freezing. It is below freezing. Inside my van, I turned on the engine and I turned on the heater. So it's about 55 degrees in here right now. Maybe it's 60 degrees. I have a thermometer. You want to crack the window just a little bit. You want to make sure you got airflow in here. You're going to get condensation. You want to do a security check, make sure all your stuff is locked up. I'm out in the middle of nowhere, like backwoods. If something happens, I'm 100% on my own. That's something you have to keep in the back of your mind. It's going to get freezing inside of my van. So let's say it's 25 degrees outside Fahrenheit. It's going to be 10 degrees, maybe colder inside of my van. So what I do to stay warm is I do a sun reflector that you put on the windshield. I put it underneath me so that my heat doesn't go down and dissipate into the wood and out through the bottom. I want the heat to shoot back up towards me. So that's why I use the sun visor underneath me. And then I use a mat. I have a big board I'm sleeping on. A piece of plywood. I've got like a thick older sleeping bag, and then right here this is a cold weather sleeping bag. It's rated to -0 Fahrenheit. I don't I don't zip it up and crawl into it because I like to be able to jump out of it if I have to. Like if something happens, I want to jump in the front seat and start the vehicle and get out of here. So I sleep with it unzipped and opened. And so you're going to get heat that, you know, goes in and out. You're not going to be as warm as you would be if you closed it. So I depend on a few layers of undergarment, like clothing. I use a top and a bottom. They're like long johns, but they're not. It's a very expensive setup. So underneath, I have a long sleeve top and a thermal thing on the bottom, on my legs and on my top, and it's a merino wool. It's like the thickest wool you could get. And then on top of the merino wool, I use this is like a waffle top. It's designed for keeping you warm, and I wear this over the merino wool, and then I have the same thing down here that I wear. So it's expensive, but it's rated for like really cold weather. So I have 2 layers on the top, 2 layers on the bottom. Then I have my cold weather jacket. Sometimes I'll put this on if it gets really cold. Tonight I'm going to try to sleep without it. Then I use a beanie, and this is just a regular like beanie. I don't know what the material is. And then I use this ear warmer thing on top of the beanie. For my feet, you got to get one of these lights. I'll put it in the description. It's like $100 light. You got the red for so you don't lose your night vision, and then you got the regular light. This thing is seriously bright, and you hook it up to a USB. For my feet, I use 2 pairs of wool socks. And then I use my cold weather sleeping bag unzipped because I like to be able to jump out of it if there's an emergency. My pillow, inside this pillow is it's called a cold weather quilt. It's like a -0 quilt, and it's made out of this like I don't even know what the material is. I'm fortunate enough that I could use it for a pillow. But if it got really, 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 really cold, like -5 degrees Fahrenheit, I would take my bottom comforter, I'd roll that up as a pillow, I would take this out, put it over me, and then I would also use the -0 sleeping bag over the top of me. I don't zip myself in. I'm just a paranoid guy. And I'll usually sleep like a baby. I usually wake up in the morning and it's close to 5, sometimes like 10 to 5 degrees Fahrenheit. Tonight I'm going to try. You don't want to fall asleep with the candle going, but this is a 4-hour emergency candle, and I bought like a thing for it to go into, and then I'm going to set it on top of my cooler, and then I'm going to take this top to a bowl, and I'm going to put it in here like this, and it's going to be right here. I'm going to keep my eye on it. I'm not going to fall asleep with this going. You want to make sure there's no flammable stuff around it. My next investment is going to be a fire extinguisher. You got to be very careful because you got stuff all over the place. You don't want to leave this burning, but I'm going to do an experiment and see if this really heats up the inside of my van. And yeah, so I'm scared of the dark. I'm not gonna lie. So like me staying out here backwoods in the middle of nowhere is it's a challenge for me. Like there is a lot of times I want to jump up and leave because I'm scared of the dark. I have a lot of paranormal shit happen to me, and I've almost been robbed. I have a lot of good stories I'll tell in the future. So I don't sleep as good as other people do on van life, but I do what I need to do, and I'm gonna try to stay here for 3 days, just to because that's a goal I set for myself, and go back to city dwelling for a little while. Yeah, so anyways, that's my night routine, and that's about it. So you guys have a good night. Thank you. Got pretty cold in here. Just woke up. About an hour ago, I lit the candle. I don't know if I see much of a difference. Maybe 2 candles would help, but the 1 candle, I don't think it does much. I think this area is too big of a space. So anyways, it's like 21 degrees inside my van. And I don't even know how cold it is outside. It is a clear blue sky. That's a good thing, but everything's snowed in. Anyways, yeah, so the adventure that didn't get off the ground, at least I got out there and tried, doing something. And at least I have the chutzpah to sit here in this snow and ride it out. It's not an adventure when you're the one living it. Don't forget that. Hey, what's up, you guys? Gypsy Fox. So, I've been doing the van life off and on, for like 5 years. Because I'm a truck driver by trade. And whenever I would come home, I would just live in my van. And I was doing it to save money to pay for my custody battle. I've been in a really bad custody battle for 5 years. And so, being a truck driver, I've been all over the country, everywhere. And so I know this country in and out, logistically. And then as a van lifer, I've done, dispersed camping. I've done a lot of city dwelling. Like, I mostly have done city dwelling. And so the video, like, why I'm making this video is to say, like, from my experience doing van life for like 5 years off and on, it's easier to do city dwelling for me. It's not that I like doing city dwelling. It's easier to do it and be able to stay off people's radar. If you're going to be a van lifer, you have to stay off people's radars. People, especially like American people, are they like to get into your business, and it's not even that they're suspicious. It's that I've noticed that when you're doing the van life, like today, I'm staying in a rest area next to where I was camping because I got snowed out. And I don't feel like driving back to the city. It's a 2-hour drive, and I was like, I'm going to stay here in this parking lot for 3 days. And you just get locals, they'll pull into the parking lot just to look at you. And they have so much hate and anger and disgust. It's like, oh, there's a homeless guy in a van, a homeless guy in a $40,000 van. And the American people are just real suspicious, and I always worry that they're gonna go and call the cops. And not that I have anything to worry about. I just don't want to get this if 2:00 in the morning, because that's how the cops do business. They're not going to come and talk to you in the daytime when everything's normal. They're going to do it when you're vulnerable. And so van life, dispersed camping, you're up in the mountains, it's great, it's beautiful. However, the locals hate you. They consider you a parasite. And I feel a lot of tension. Like, I had a lot of bad experiences this last 6 days. I almost got into a fight with the logger who told me I couldn't be on a Forestry Service road. And being here in this parking lot, I'm getting a lot of people, like locals, like a plumber, and they would drive by twice and look at me and shake their head, because I have socks hanging here. And it's not an easy life. And so I have found that doing city dwelling is a little bit easier. The only difference is you got to stay moving. So, like, you'll have a place you sleep, and then, like, your routine. And then you go back to the place you sleep at night. And I have a really good sleep place I would recommend to people, but you got to email me for me to give it to you, because I don't want I don't want to talk about it over the internet and then have all the van lifers using the place that I recommended, because I don't want them to blow up the spot, fog up the spot. As a friend of mine would say, you're gonna fog up the spot. And I was gonna drive somewhere else where the weather was better, but I can't afford it. It would be like $200 round trip to go somewhere to where it's sunny and there's not snow, but then I gotta drive home, and it'd be $200. So van life is expensive. It could be annoying. It could be frustrated. Doing dispersed camping, you draw a lot of heat on you. Even when you're in the Forestry Service 2 weeks area, it's just, people are just weirdos nowadays. Like, people will drive by a bunch of times, like they're scoping your shit out, and you're like way back country, and you're like, something happens, I'm on my own here. And so staying at this rest area has kind of been eye-opening, because people are looking at me like I'm a squatter, and shit, like people shake their head when they see me. And so I almost got back on the road to go back to the city, but I'm not ready to go back yet. I'm just gonna, I'm just doing snow camping, hanging out, and just wanted to tell people that if you're gonna get into the van life, it's not how they present on the videos. It's not. And I picked a bad time in a bad area to go camping because it snowed and I got snowed out. However, I've been everywhere, and I've done all the van life, and I've done all the trucking, and I have a lot of experience being out on the road. And the worst thing about being out on the road, living on the road, is your fellow countrymen. They don't like you. They hate you. And that's just some advice I wanted to give you. When you do van life, you got to know how to stay low key and stay off the radar. And when you do dispersed camping, believe it or not, you're more exposed than you would be if you were in the city doing the van life. And it shouldn't be like that. It should be the opposite. And so it's kind of frustrating. But anyways, that's just some advice I wanted to give you about van life.